Good afternoon and a very, very happy new year to everybody who's just come in. And we are hopefully going to be joined by Mark, who's currently offshoring, having a few logging in problems, and Brian, who is still in Forest and probably still in his bed, but we'll try and wake them up. But at the moment, it's myself, Wilf, obviously, and Neil. Neil, how's things in sunny Pitlochry?
All good. Happy New Year, Wilf. Hope you had a good time last night bringing in the bells. But yeah, all good here. Just starting to see a bit of snow appearing, which is no doubt going to be fun and games in a few days. But yeah, only 2 more sleeps till we go and scalp that lot. So can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's kind of, I was just saying before we came live, it started snowing here in Aberdeen about an hour ago. The snow, it was kind of sleety this morning. I went for a walk down the beach this morning and it was getting a bit sleety, and it's now white. And it's looking out the window, it's still snowing. So I think we're in for the weather warning that they hit us with, I think is going to be correct. So as long as, sorry, I'm just trying to get Mark on here. As long as the main roads are okay, because I'm planning down the road tomorrow for the Rangers Memorial Services for the Iron Rocks disaster. So hopefully, hopefully the roads are clear enough I can get down for that. But I'm staying down, so I don't really care how much it snows after that, to be perfectly honest. If you want to say something about anything, I'll try and get a link to Mark.
Yeah, no worries. Like I say, we are hopefully going to get the worst of the weather out the road before the weekend ourselves. But looking forward certainly to the game coming up next Saturday, and the last kind of few days, certainly since the Motherwell result, I think it's been a massive turnaround. So yeah, I think waking up this morning, it was quite a positive feeling for what we're going to achieve in 2026 now, as opposed to just a week or so ago worrying what 2026 is going to look like. So yeah, excited for the up and coming year. Happy New Year, Mark.
There's Mark.
Happy New Year, guys. How are we doing? He's all right. He's good.
Yep. So, Mark, my first question for you is: what does Hogmanay look like offshore?
I could be letting away all sorts of trade secrets here. It's been really good, to be fair. Apart from the catering guys on board, we pretty much got the day off today. We had a 10 o'clock start for brunch. That was nice. We've done the Christmas raffle. Well, the Christmas/New Year raffle. Top prize in that was a £2,000 travel voucher. So the prizes were pretty good. I think it was an iPhone 17 in there. There was a couple of £100 vouchers here and there. So it's been good. That's been done. Now the pool competition's in full swing. Hence the reason why I'm late on. There's a darts competition. And we are sitting down to get an absolutely beautiful meal at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and then the rest of our days we're on pretty much. So it's they really look after us. The catering offshore run about Christmas. There's probably their busiest time of the year, whereas we kind of get to relax and chill out a wee bit. So what we'll do is once 4 o'clock, once we've all had our dinner, me and a couple of the boys will get the catering sat down and we'll serve them their dinner, and at least let them relax a wee bit and kind of see a wee bit of the festivities rather than run about mental after all of us. So, but we have a good time. It's the food's outstanding. The cracks are really good, and I think we just kind of make the most of what we can. We've always been away from our families and stuff like that, so it's good. It really is good.
Good. That's everybody now getting their CVs updated and saying, get me offshore for next Christmas and New Year, because that sounds absolutely fantastic.
An easy swap, to be fair.
I'm sure it doesn't compensate for being with your family. I'm quite sure. I've met your lovely family briefly, and I think knowing how much you and your family care about each other, I think you probably would rather be at home. But I suppose if you can't be at home being treated well by your employers, the next best thing, I'd imagine.
Best of a bad lot, I suppose. So we can't grumble. We do get looked after really well.
There's Jordy. Before I say hello to Alan, who's joined us before, I do that. a wee comment from Jordy Mark. He says, as a chef himself, he applauds you for doing that to the staff in the afternoon. So well done. Well
You've
done
got to, 100%, got to. As I said, these people run about after us. No just at Christmas, all day, every day, and some of the guys offshore are, as you can imagine, only very grateful. So we have a bit of whip round as well for them. So hopefully they get maybe £100 each from the guys and stuff like that. But it's not just for Christmas; it's for what they do for us the whole year over. As I said, because they really do look after us. Without them, you wouldn't get oil and gas at all. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and I'm delighted we've also been joined this afternoon. I was expecting Alan, I was expecting Brian, but I got an Alan. So Alan, Happy New Year. How are you, my friend?
I'm not too bad. I turned on the pod and I saw you were missing Brian, so I thought I'll team just now. So I'll jump on and help out.
Good man. So what did your Hogmanay look like?
Very sleepy. Stayed awake for bells just about, and then went to sleep. So nothing exciting at all. So look forward to getting some steak pie later on.
So you do the traditional New Year's Day steak pie. I have to say, so do we. Neil, are you a New Year's Day steak pie man?
Absolutely. Hopefully, around about 5 o'clock, we'll be tucking into some of that up this neck of the woods. So yeah, looking best part about Christmas and New Year's, the food you can consume. It's you never find yourself buying some of the crap you buy at Christmas and New Year, do you? So yeah, looking forward to steak pie coming in 5 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, you can eat what you like and not feel too guilty about it. Mark just seems to eat well all the time. So I would imagine when he's at the 4 weeks he's at home, he's not eating quite as well. But you know what I mean? It's or are you?
Oh, trust me, I'm eating not bad at home as well, especially the last time home as well. That was good. That was Christmas and stuff. So usual overindulged, but I'll ping you the menu in the group chat and I'll give you a laugh.
Guys, I've just saw a comment when we came on there, and I've just checked, and it's actually true. It's not Rangers related, but it's football related. So Alan, Chelsea have sacked Enzo Maresco.
Yeah, it's probably been coming. He's been quite sort of snarky with the media. Quite a lot of animosity there. He's not quite delivering on the resources he's got at Chelsea. Chelsea obviously put that much money in, and they've built himself into a club they expect to win. And Maresca's really just not doing enough there. There's a ton of pressure at that club to do well, and they simply won't actually accept just hovering about, maybe getting into Champions League places. So I think it was all a matter of time, and it'll be interesting to see if that kicks off any sort of chain of moves over the next couple of weeks, because I'd expect Chelsea will go on that quite fast.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, I don't know if you're interested that much in what happens south of the border with the football, but for me, that's a surprise. I don't really keep too much of a close eye on it, but for me, Chelsea bagging their manager is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I think it's not a huge follower of the Premiership, but let's say the winter friendly back in '86 Rangers Chelsea, and got the old half and half hat as a youngster. So they've always been the team I've kind of followed down there. And I think you go back to Abramovich and what's happened post him leaving, and it's just been an absolute joke of a situation. Well, you brought the comment up there. It's almost as if they've got expectations above where they currently are as a club at the moment, and they're bringing managers in expecting them to compete with younger players. They're not necessarily competing in squad for squad size and depth of some of the bigger sides, and I think the other clubs round about them are much stronger than the Abramovich Chelsea ever faced, and I think the mentality is we should be up there, and other clubs have raced on, whereas Chelsea kind of stood still for 5 or 6 years, and they're paying the price for it now. So yeah, I'll always kind of like to see Chelsea doing well, but I just think it's such a strong league just now that the difference makers are millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of spending, need to be the right players and to kind of crack that Premiership league. But as I say, I think Chelsea fans and the Chelsea board need to maybe have a bit of a reality check as to the expectations for that club at this moment in time versus everybody else.
Mark, your thoughts on it?
I think that probably he's the kind of right man for that job. I think that probably the reason he's went is what's been going on in the background. I mean, you hear snippets here and there regarding not been happy and stuff like that, but I think there's been a fallout above him. I think that probably on their day Chelsea can beat anybody in that league. I think they've got a great squad. They've spent some serious money, and for me, he's done well for them. I think that probably when all this has started to come out, it's probably when they've had a dip. I think early in the season, everybody kind of went like, "Well, this Chelsea team are probably in a shout in the league." So I think that probably for me, definitely a bit of a shock. I thought that over the last probably 3-4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, it's probably been coming after his remarks in the press. So yes, it's a surprise that it's been announced on the 1st of January. But who did they get? Who did they bring in? This is my issue. They went to great lengths to try and bring him in, didn't they? And the fact that everybody was shocked that he'd been to Leicester and not really done anything else, and all of a sudden they jumped on him, which seemed to be a good thing. As I said, it seemed to have done well for them. But wee bit of a shock that it's been today. But I think that after you start making comments about the guys above you and stuff like that, then I think the writing's on the wall when it comes to that. It's kind of game over after that. So you're a dead man walking.
Yeah, Alan. Before I come back to you, a couple of things in from the members. There's David Christie, a member for 26 months. David, your support is absolutely greatly appreciated. Happy New Year to all the Rabble team, and get well soon, Martin. Martin's still choked up full of the flu and the cold, and he seems to catch everything that's going. But you can keep that. And we've also got a new member for the new year in Alex Fife. So Alex, welcome along. Hope you enjoy all the extra content. If you are watching on YouTube and you're not already a member, there are links in the description. You can join up, get loads and loads of extra shows just for a couple of quid a month. And you get loads and loads of good chat from knowledgeable people like Mark and Neil and Alan, and people that try to pretend to know what they're talking about, like myself. So yeah, lots and lots of people. But Alan, we'll throw this one at you. There's Shona. Shona's always a great supporter of the pod. Rumours flying about. There's Windass is on his way, but hearing he failed a late fitness test, and that's why he isn't in the Wrexham squad. Do you think that he's not quite fit enough to start could be a smokescreen for Wrexham, and he is actually on his way back up? And if he is, do you want him to come back up?
I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I want him to come back up. I don't think he was good enough when he was here before, but I also think he probably adds a bit more threat that we don't have currently. So I'm a wee bit on the fence with that. I watched Wrexham's game against Sheffield United the other day, and he played really well, but I don't know he had to pass a late fitness test on that. So he obviously is carrying a bit of an injury I think it's a dead leg, so I don't think it's anything serious, but it's one I do believe he has genuinely failed a fitness test on that, but we're looking at that might be a deal that might happen, and it's one who would certainly come in and settle in quickly. There wouldn't be a bedding in period for Josh Windass coming back. Yeah,
and Neil there's great wall of Canada saying he would rather have the team of Werner on loan than Windass. I don't even know if that would be possible, because I don't keep that much an eye on anything that isn't really Rangers. But what's your thoughts on Werner if we can get him, and Windass, because it sounds like that's very, very possible?
Werner, I've got no clue if he could come in and do anything in Scotland. It's one of those kind of quality players that has the potential, but whether Scottish football would allow him to fulfil that potential or not is a different question. For me, though, I think the big concern, looking at Windass, why are we going back to somebody who, hasn't really done a great deal? We've pulled how many countless players that all look good in the Championship, and we're now going back to a player who looked good in the Championship to bring him back to Rangers. we need to change the record a bit. I think it's starting to get a little bit frustrating that there seems to be one pool of players we're going after, and that's it. And let's be honest, there's 2 or 3 players in Scotland coming out of contract this year that, could be as big an asset to the squad as Windass is, and wouldn't necessarily have to, isn't the player we once had, etc. But I think we need to be looking a little bit more at other options outside this championship. And because certain people have said he's improved since he's been down there, but look at all these improved and super, championship players that have come in this season and really haven't done much for us up until now. So it does worry me we're repeating the same issues again when there's possibly other options out there. But if he can come in and give us half a season and contribute to us winning the league, I'm sure we'll all soon get on board the Windass train, that's for sure. But for me, I think we need to be looking at other options.
Delighted to say we've finally been joined by Brian Forrest. Time's obviously different to time everybody else has got. Brian, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. I wish I could say I was feeling fresh, but I'm quite... as the time of arrival was as such, I didn't realise the time. So here I am. Happy New Year, folks.
So, as you've probably gleaned, I don't know how much you've caught over the first 16 minutes without you. But, Chelsea have sacked their manager. That's the first thing we touched on. After hearing about Mark's sumptuous banquet that he gets on New Year's Day, he's just sent us the menu. I'm going to try and get myself a job offshore next year. That looks absolutely fabulous. It really does.
Oh,
it looks really good.
Workers, I from experience of my dad, offshore workers are treated like kings, and their food is fabulous. So never feel sorry for offshore workers. They eat like kings.
Oh no, I feel sorry for them not being with their family, particularly at this time of year, which was when you were still sleeping. But so, what do you think of the Josh Windass rumours, then, Brian? I've not really spoke to you about that. Would you welcome him back? Because he's now 31. When he was with us, he was just a daft wee kid. So, would you welcome him back?
Not for me, no. I don't think he's the type of player and actor we need. I kind of liked him when he was with us, but I just don't think we need fresh. We need new. I don't think going back helps. It's got to be exceptional circumstances for me for somebody to come back to the club and be successful again, or not successful like Josh, but just be positive. And I'm just not sure Josh is that sort of character. I just think we need better. We need younger, and no, not for me.
Right, Mark, I'll throw this one to you. Somebody's asked a question if you're offshore abroad or UK. You're offshore Norfolk, I believe, Mark.
Yeah, I'm just off the coast of Norwich. So I'm down the North Sea, but the southern sector of the North Sea.
Right, so anyway, that's that cleared up. We'll throw this one to you. I like giving you all the easy questions on New Year's Day. Question from Lochide: have we been looking at Chermiti in the wrong light? Is he a striker, or is he possibly a 10 and we're not playing him in the right position? Now, obviously, we were told he was a striker, but he was a striker that didn't score goals. I think looking at the way he's played the last couple of games, his assist numbers could be very, very good if we get somebody around about him that is quite mobile and can score goals. However, he's a Rangers number 9. Surely it's goals we're looking at from him.
Listen, it's a bit of a strange one, because I think that for me, the boy gets a bad rap. I think that the problem is that everybody, first and foremost, sees the price tag, and that puts straight away. Everybody says, "Well, £8 million, it should be a finished article." Which I think the problem is that the people that were in charge beforehand, i.e., Farewell and the likes, they're coming from an English point of view, and their point of view was that if you're doing in England, £8 million for what's supposedly a young talent, up and coming, with the attributes that he's got, that's chicken feed, really. So what they've done is they've brought in, if you were in England, they've brought in a player that was you need to nourish and bring on and develop. And down south, £8 million for somebody like that's chicken feed, and that's their viewpoint on it, and that's the way they've seen it when they bought him. The problem is that us as Scottish fans, Rangers fans, are thinking that's 8 million. That needs to be. That's a significant outlay, and he needs to be absolutely finished article, scoring barrel loads. And the problem is, it's not the boy's fault. For me, you've seen the development. Personally, I've seen the development. I've seen from the first couple of games that I've seen him, which was absolute dross, to the last game there. He looked like night and day. He looked like a different player, to be perfectly honest. He looked fit. He looked strong. Previously, couldn't hold the ball up. The ball would just bounce off him, bounce off a knee, bounce off a shin. For me, he looks like an old-fashioned centre forward. I know that some people are talking about 10s. He's not technical enough to be a 10, and he's dropping deep. But he's dropping deep to link play. So that's what your old-fashioned centre forward's done. Your Mark Hateley's, your although they scored goals and stuff like that. But I believe that will come eventually. But you can't have it all straight away. As I said, this young boy's come in. He's not kicked a ball in 2 years. So see that 2 year that he sat doing nothing at Everton. That's been his main development time. That's all players' development times from that kind of 18 to 20, 18 to 21. Kind of that. That's where you start playing men's football. You start learning. You start learning the dark arts. You start learning where you should be and how you work in a team and stuff like that. And he's not had that. The problem is that because he's not had that, and because he's price tag, everybody in the rant has just jumped on his back and said, he's fucking wrong, he's this, he's that, he's hopeless, he's not worth the money, blah, blah, blah. Which, to be perfectly honest, see if we'd have paid $1 million for him, or 1.5 million for him, it would be what he is. He's a development player that's developing, as far as I'm concerned. Problem is, as it stands at the minute, we've got dross run about him, and we can't afford to have development players playing up front and playing as a number 9 for Rangers. And this is the bottom line. So this is why this boy's getting it in the neck. It's not his fault, but the problem is people above him have brought him in, paid that money for him, and surrounded him with dross that can't score goals anyway. So for talking's sake, see if Miovski's scored 15 or 20 goals so far this season, are we even bothered about Chimay? Nobody's going to mention him. Nobody's going to say, all right, okay, he's developing, he's coming along, give him the last 20 minutes per game, let him start the odd game. Develop him. That's what he's there for. But he's not a finished article. And if anybody thinks he is a finished article, then they're absolutely wrong, because that's not what he's been bought for. You can clearly see that in the boys' play. You can clearly see that. But as I said, they're on his back. Hence the reason why they're talking about Windass coming back in. For me, is Windass better than what we've got? Bottom line, absolute bottom line, is he better than what we've got? 100%. So whether we like him, we don't like him, is he going to come in and score goals? I would think so. Does he know the league? Yes. Does he know the club? Yes. Is he my first choice? 100% not. But you can see why they're angling towards him, because they need somebody for right now. Problem is, Miovski's not doing it. Chimiki's a development player. Who knows what Danilo's doing at all? But the problem is that as it stands at the minute, we're in with a shouter as league. We need somebody to come in, hit the ground running, and score goals. Now, he's proven that he can score goals in Scotland. He's scored goals down south. He's been playing in a different position now as a striker rather than as a wide player, which he was either a wide player or a 10 when he played with Rangers. So, take away whether you like him, you dislike him. Is he going to be functional? Then yes. If that's the case, bring him in. If it's not the case, then fuck him off. It's as simple as that. But let's not get our knickers again twisted. We need somebody that's going to come in, hit the ground running, and score goals. And that's the bottom line. As I said, I know I've went into a tangent about both Chimiki and Windass, but this is where we are at as a club. We need somebody that's going to score goals straight away, that knows the club, that knows the league, and is proven to score goals in this league, which he's done. So as I said, and from my point of view, Chimiki, yes, big fee, yes, needs to do better. But at the end of the day, he's been brought on as a development player. Although we've paid 10 million for him, and it blows everybody's mind. But that is exactly what it is. I don't even know the question.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, Mark makes a fair point there, that we wouldn't be getting so caught up about Chimiki's inability to score goals if everybody else was scoring goals, because we really aren't scoring a lot. I mean, Danny Rose come in and he's made this difficult to score against, which was the first thing he had to do, because if you don't lose goals, you don't lose games. And unbelievable, you've got the best defence in the league, which I still can't quite get my head around, but that's just the way it is.
I think that says more about the finishing of some of the teams we've come up against in the league. But, it's something we need to take and we run with. And I've said for weeks what we need to find in January is players that are going to come in and make players around about and better. We spend every week, every time we're doing the pods, we're talking about our strikers are not scoring enough goals, and they're not scoring enough goals because they're not taking enough shots to goal. So they're not getting the ball high enough up the park to have chances to shoot. That's why they're dropping so deep, where it's Termiti, Danilo, Miovski. They're all dropping deep to try and get involved because nobody's finding them. Nobody's finding them in dangerous areas. I think if you bring a player like Windass in, he will create more. He will go and make those passes to find strikers in the box and give them chances to shoot. And I'm not sure how easy the deal for Windass would be to do. He only signed for Wrexham in the summer, and we wanted to go and try and nab him on loan. Same with boy Penrice, who only signed for Athens in the summer. Both Penrice and Windass are playing regularly, so the deals on the face it, as much as it makes sense for us to try and do them, they don't look particularly easy to do on paper. But I think we spoke at the game on Tuesday night. You know, Termiti was making runs, and behind he was pointing and asking for where he wanted the ball played down into the channel for him to go and run on in. There was space here for him to go and do it, but we weren't finding the ball. We're no ambitious enough for the balls forward we're playing into these guys. So it ends up with them dropping deeper and out of dangerous areas just to try and get involved.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, the Penrice one that Alan flags up there, that's interesting because he only went to AEK Athens in the summer from Hearts for, I think it was for £2 million, which was great business for them because they got him for nothing from Livingston, which when I thought we should have gone for him because I do quite like him as a player. The word on the street is he's homesick. So how you can be in Athens and be homesick of the weather here, I've got no idea. But anyway, apparently that he is. So that's probably doable. If it is doable on loan, would you take him?
Oh, 100%. I think there's several people on this pod were shouting about him before he went to AEK. So yeah, absolutely, we should be all over this. It's a position that we're short in as well. So absolutely, we should be all over this. He's 27, I believe, so he's right in his sort of prime. Problem is, Ewan Cameron's his father-in-law, I believe, so that might play a part in this. He won't want him going there, so that'll be a bit of a problem. But no, that's the sort of player that we should be looking at, definitely. A guy that's he's athletic, he's young. I'm fed up going for. At the same time, I'm fed up going for the youth, as in, you know, inexperience, but at the same time you need to blend it with experience, and I think he would have that nice blend. He's neither one or the other. It's actually a sensible signing in the sense that he could do us for a few years. So yeah, he would be high up on my list, and especially being a left back, that's one position that we really need to sort out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brian's right. We do need to bring in a left back because it's completely. We've said it so many times. It was completely ridiculous of the previous people in post to leave us with one left back, and he's a 20-year-old loanee or 18, 20-year-old loanee. So if we could get James Penrice on loan, I didn't realise, Brian, that Ewan Cameron was his father-in-law, but it would explain the tweet I saw earlier on that said he'd be ideal for Rangers, but please, James, stay where you are until the summer. So, Neil, you know, did you got the thoughts on Penrice, and if we could get him in on loan, or would you have somebody else that you like?
No, I think position. For me, Penrice is the sort of player that we should be looking at. You know, we don't really have a core group of kind of players that we can rely on that know the league, that know the ins and outs of Rangers, know the ins and outs of the expectations of Rangers, know the ins and outs of how the opposition set up against Rangers, want to play against Rangers. So for me, you're trying to bring in players of an age that are experienced enough to make an impact, but also have longevity to become part of the core squad that will be missing for years. And that 24, 25, 26 age area is perfect for that, in a sense that they're experienced, they've played, you know, many games, has had now exposure to another league and a little bit more experience. So that's the sort of candidate we need to be looking at to get this core of the squad sorted out. You know, I know that there's some people not overly enthused by Suter, but I think it's encouraging that we're back talking with him about re-signing again, because he's another sort of player that won't play week in, week out, isn't always going to be a superstar defender, won't be there to make us 20 million in the transfer market, but is the sort of player Rangers for years and years and years of kind of relied on to get us through the tougher games domestically. So Penrice absolutely needs to be looked at, and I think there's one or two others we should be looking at round about now to maybe close them and get them in before they come out of contract and in the summer. Get these deals done, and if we have to pay a little bit now to get them in, there's one or two other squad players that are, could be affectionate, could be good for us that are coming up in June, July time. We need to be looking at as well.
Yeah, I mean, Mark's getting away from the sort of who would we bring in, who wouldn't we bring in. It's noticeable that the last couple of interviews of anybody at the club, including the manager and a couple of the players, they've all referenced the effect that Scott Fry's having on our attacking and possibly defending as well, or the set piece coach. From watching the games, I really can't see we've made that much of a discernible difference, although we are getting a little bit better at them. But I don't think it's the sort of vast improvement I expected. Have you been more impressed with our set pieces? And is it defending them or the attacking them? Or
well, I mean, to be fair, I think that the Rome wasn't built today. I think that this is a wee bit of a slow burner. I mean, it's not going to be a all of a sudden we fling a switch and we're amazing at set pieces, both defending and scoring goals. But listen, we started scoring from corners and bits and bobs like that, and we've looked. I mean, you go to the start of the season, I was under the table anytime anybody got a corner against us. I was just, because as soon as that ball came in, we were all over the shop, and we do look more organised. But I don't think that it's a magic wand or anything that all of a sudden we're going to be brilliant at it. But I do see improvement in both boxes, and as I said, long may it continue. But there is slight improvement. I would be surprised if anybody said that they didn't see any sort of a improvement in it. But I think that'll be a matter of time. You just, once they get drilled, it becomes muscle memory after a while. It just becomes automatic rather than something that, oh shit, I need to remember and be here, and I need to remember and run there. So I think that I would give him another few months under his belt, and you maybe see towards the tail end of the season, you maybe see a lot better set pieces and stuff like that. But for me, definitely an improvement.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, I'm not saying there's been no improvement, but I haven't seen the sort of improvement I kind of expected. Because my understanding when he came in was he looks after every single restart, not just corners and free kicks, but every throw in, and it seems to be the same players are still taking all the set pieces. Is that an indictment of the squad that basically if Tav's on the pitch he takes everything? Still, I would have thought that would probably have changed under Scott Fry, or is it just that he's the guy that's best at it? Because I don't think for a minute he's the best guy with a dead ball that we've got in the squad.
I think it's definitely more the fact that Tav is the only guy that seems to be sort of capable of doing it. I don't think it's a fact that anybody else isn't good enough. I just think the fact Tav has always been the guy, and seems to be always will be the guy taking the short corners and the free kicks and whatever else. But I think attacking wise, I think you have to admit there has been an uplift. There has been a definite improvement in the attacking corners. I mean, Fernandes has scored 3 goals. All right, one was from a free kick, but certainly. Then when was the last time there was a running joke that we were having that? When was the last time we scored from a corner? It was that long since we scored from a corner. So that we can't even have that wee long-standing joke now, because we actually score from corners. I'm not saying regularly, but we've been doing it reasonably regularly fairly recently. So there's definitely been an uplift in that respect. So yeah, whatever Scott Fry's doing is, again, as you say, not Rome wasn't built in a day, but at the same time, you're not getting that many sort of opportunities. Corners. You're only getting maybe 8, 9, 10 a game. So over 90 minutes, you're not getting that many opportunities. So to score from a corner is a big thing, and it's.
Alan, I think we've lost Brian. Alan, there's a sensible question from Timothy Sharp for once. So, if every manager has used Tav, does that not say that he's the best delivery in the team?
I largely don't think that the issue of Tav's delivery is a problem. I've said for a long time that the delivery into the box last year from set pieces wasn't an issue. It was how we were set up to attack the ball. And Tav can be hit and miss at times, but he's put some quality deliveries in this season. My biggest problem with Tav taking all the set pieces is how much it slows us down. Because if you're having to wait for Tav to get into a position where we've got a throw in or get over to where the corner is, we're giving teams time to get set up and mark our players. Watching somebody ready to take a quick throw in, just short to a teammate, but wait for Tav to come and then take a short throw is infuriating. It is absolutely mind blowing that we have to have the one person that will go and take a throw in, goes 5 yards to a player. Anybody should be able to do that and get the ball moving, get the ball and play quicker. We've seen the blueprint for being successful in Scottish football, and that's having the best players and moving the ball quicker than any other team. Getting the play with a lot more intensity. I think we definitely have improved the attacking set pieces, but listen, you sit next to me at Ibrox, you know very well what I think our defending the set pieces is absolutely deplorable. And that's not been a Danny Oil problem. That's not been a Russell Martin problem. That's been a problem for Rangers for years under a succession of managers. How we defend set pieces is absolutely brutal. And I'm very much hoping that Scott Fry with a bit more time at the club, I'll get to work on that and we can be a bit more aggressive in terms of defending set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I'll apologise on Brian's behalf. It was a schoolboy error, his battery died. So he obviously is still half cheek for yesterday, because that really is a schoolboy error when you're podcasting. Neil, your thoughts on how we've been since Scott Fry came in? I mean, we are, as Mark said, there has definitely been some improvement, but I was, as I said, I was expecting probably a bigger improvement, but I'm probably just looking for too much.
I think, the other guys have said it, you can't just make things happen with a magic wand in this, but I think offensively, the movement in the first and the second phases of play of where we've seen the biggest improvement. I think getting that first header and then being, quick to react. And the Asgard goal against St Mirren was something we've never seen, or certainly I've not seen very often, is the kind of the short corner, the movement, and that movement was phenomenal for Asgard to kind of, well, the defending wasn't exactly great, but he was left free in the box there. So we are seeing positives around the movement, but it's going to take time for these things to kind of click and be part and parcel of what they do week in, week out. Defensively, I think we're always going to struggle because we come up against big physical teams who sit in their own half, or used to, prior to Rangers, kind of falling away, used to sit in their own half for 89 minutes in the hope of getting a corner and try and score from it. So we need to do a lot of work on that defensive part, because it's such a major part for teams against us, as well as what they can develop from set plays, and that can be every bit as important to securing a league for us in the run-in than anything, just not conceding from set pieces as much. And I think even come Saturday, set pieces could decide that game the way it's lining up for Saturday, with both defences being a bit shaky on corners and defending set pieces around the box.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, I'll throw this one to you as Brian comes back in, because he's found a power cable. Imagine letting your battery die, Brian. That's schoolboy stuff. A nice super sticker from my very own Andrew. Andrew, thank you very much. An absolutely massive supporter of the channel, as well as a contributor now. But Mark, I'll throw Old Penny's comment to you about Jack Butland. He's saying that Butland is making saves that Andy Gorham made week in, week out with no fuss. The difference is that Butland's made more mistakes in the last 3 weeks than Gorham made in his Rangers career. I wouldn't quite agree with that because Gorham did make a few, but he was here an awful long time. I get the general point. Butland has been prone to making, one or two. I mean, that error he made against Hearts was absolutely ludicrous, and he said himself it's played on his mind. And when you're the last line of defence, mistakes like that are always going to cost you a goal. But I mean, he seems to have come out of it fairly confidently. But how long is it till Butland makes his next wicket?
Listen, it's the nature of the beast being a goalkeeper. Yeah, he's got a mistake in him, but listen, there's draws, lots and lots of draws, lots of points gained through Butland. For me, I would be very, 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 very slow to start criticising Butland. I thought he's been brilliant this season, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, up and down, odd mistake here and there, yes, but listen. You compare Butland's form to the rest of this team's form over a season, and for me, there's only one player a year. So I would be very, very slow in starting to criticise Butland. As I said, for me, some of the saves that I've seen him pull off since he's been here have been absolutely world class. Yes, we've been spoiled in the goalkeeping thing, but listen, for me, he's that 1%. Where he flings a wee wobbler and has a it's the nature of the beast of being a goalkeeper. But for me, I'm no here to criticise him. I think that he got a bit of rough timing in the last season as well. And I think that the kind of the making of the man, he's come out and pretty much been, as far as I'm concerned, Rangers' best player this season. So I'm not going to be criticising the boy. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not looking for you to criticise him at all. I mean, I said after the Hearts game I would have taken him out for a couple of games. I'm glad we didn't because he did certainly, he certainly saved the jerseys the last couple of games since then. And as somebody said in the comments there, at least he's come out and went, look, that was my mistake. I'll try not to do that again. At least he's owned his mistakes, which shows his experience, his maturity. And I don't think it's a position that we need to worry about, certainly not till the summer.
No, it's a position I'd like us to look at, but I don't think it's high enough on the priority to be trying to chase and do deals that will be very difficult to do in January. So, listen, Butland's attitude's first class. He'll come out and take responsibility. Certainly, I think he's been one of the better players this season. He's come up big in big moments. Although a lot of his saves are bread and butter. A good goalkeeper's got to make those saves, but we need Butland to get better in terms of his distribution. That's inviting too much pressure. I know at times his distribution can be really poor and let him down, but I think Mark's making a fair comment. We don't really want to go and pick too many holes in one of our best players this season. So as Tim says, he's got to be near the bottom of the list of positions we have to worry about, because you could get right through the team almost before you get to replacing Jack Butland.
Yeah, and Brian, before I come to you, fantastic support from Jim Aitken, gifted 5 Rangers Rabble podcast memberships. So to the 5 people that have received the memberships from Jim, Happy New Year on his behalf. Absolutely brilliant, Jim. That's fantastic. So, Brian, now that you're back with us, and I'm assuming you've got some power to whatever device it is you're using, it's now 15 minutes past 1. So the transfer window has been open for 13 hours and we haven't signed anybody. Who do we go after? Because we haven't signed anybody. Which of the club's hierarchy are we thrown to the wolves for not having signed a player in the first 12 hours of the window?
I think it took our Craig 4 minutes to slag get somebody in our group chat, wasn't it? It took 4 minutes for him to say sack the board or sack somebody for not signing somebody. It's 2026. I do think there will be signings. I think there will be a signing before Saturday. What that position is and who it will be, I have no idea. But I do think there will be somebody. I don't think Danny Roll is going to be one of these guys that likes to hang around and sort of string out signings. I think he's going to want bodies in sharpish. So yeah, I think he's going to definitely not want to hang around. He's certainly going to want bodies in because he needs them at the end of the day. He needs bodies in. He needs a left back. He needs centre halves. He needs a striker. So yeah, he needs help. So I can't imagine Danny Roll's going to be too keen on stringing this out and wait until the middle of the month. I think he's going to have guys ready to go as soon as possible. So, yeah, I appreciate that it's 1:15 on the 1st of January, but I do think somebody will be in before Saturday. I just don't know who.
Fair enough. And obviously, whoever comes in, we wouldn't expect them to start against Celtic on Saturday because it's just far too soon. Neil Lear, Mark Driver saying a left back, a central midfield player, striker, MC. I can't think what an MC is anyway. And the 4
He's been playing too much, champ manager.
Okay. What's an MC, Alan?
I'm assuming he means a central midfielder.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Okay. 4 players that they can hit the ground running is a big aspect. It's what required. Whether those are the positions or not, Neil, whether it is 3, 4 or 5, I have to agree that we need players that can hit the ground running. We really need guys that can come in and start games. We're done with squad players. There's no point in us bringing in any more squad players. We need guys who can come into the first team straight away.
Yeah, I think that's the tough thing about January, isn't it? It's getting those 4 players identified that can come in and make a difference. It's not an easy window to operate in at the best of times with, only need 1 or 2. And I think 4 players, would be ideal. But realistically, what can we expect? I mean, 2 good starters would possibly be an okay January window if both those players were quality starters that can make a difference. It's notoriously tough. It's a difficult window to do much. You've got players that are in title hunts. You've got players chasing winners' medals, and you've got so much going on with other clubs not wanting to sell their players to strengthen us as well. So it's always going to be a difficult window to operate in. So maybe you're starting to think you'd be happy with 2 long-term kind of core players that are going to be starting most weeks and be really, really good for us most weeks in a window. We need much more, but the reality and the realistic nature of a January window means that we could get 4 in, but you're just throwing dung at a wall, hoping some stuff sticks by bringing in the numbers. For me, it's more about making sure that the 1, 2, 3 or 4 we sign are definitely the 1, 2, 3 or 4 players that can make a big difference for us, and we don't need to be kind of chasing our tails looking for these players to come on to a game or wait 3 months for them to really start making an impact. That month or so away from making an impact could cost us in the league. So yeah, numbers for me is one area we know we need, but I think quality is more important now going forward. And I get the comments about Windass coming in and being that sort of player, but again, we need to be mindful about the future and what these players cost us and how much wages they're on, and if it's season 2, 3 and 4 beyond that. But yeah, it's going to be difficult for us to get any of these sort of players in this window. So it's tough work ahead for the recruitment team to land 4 or 5 starters that can make a difference.
Yeah, Mark, Jason Prince must be reading my mind, because this is exactly the question I was going to ask you just when Neil would finish there. We need 4 or 5 going out and getting off the wage bill. He's named Giga, Aarons, Rothwell, who we all know is leaving. Ant-Man, who I can't see is getting rid of in this window because he's injured, and he'll be injured till the end of January. And Cornelius sent back. Cornelius, for me, isn't going to be fit by about March. I'll try and end his loan. But how do we get rid of 4 or 5? Because it's all very well bringing an amount of players in, but we need to get some off the wage bill as well, and that isn't going to be easy because, as we've all said, the January window's not the best.
Yeah, no, listen, I get it. I would probably agree with Giga, Aarons, Rothwell, 100%. Anton probably not. I don't think he's had a fair enough crack at the whip. I dare say, from my point of view, I think there's definitely a player in Antman. I think it just might be a bad start. Maybe this breakaway might be the making of him. But for me, I always kind of question. Everybody gets their knickers in a twist about getting players off wage bills and stuff like that. Why? I couldn't care less. It's players in. I'm interested in. If we've got 500 in the squad, I couldn't care less. If we can afford to pay them and afford to pay their wages, all right, it's nice to get them away. But why we need 4 out before we get 4 in and all that? No idea why people say that. It doesn't make any difference unless they specifically say that we cannot bring anybody in until people move, which has not been said. So, as I said, if we can get short of them, by all means, but I don't know why we get our knickers in a twist of it. We need to get people off wage bills. It's as if it's coming out of our pocket. I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. So, say if there's 500 in a squad, I'm not interested. As long as we can afford them and we're bringing players in, that's all I'm interested in. Is the team on the park and what's happening with them. For me, all right, yeah, they need to go. How do you get rid of them? I'm not interested. Don't care. As far as I'm concerned, it's who's coming in, and I would say we need 6 at least. We're definitely not going to get 6 in January. I agree with Neil there. It's got to be quality. You cannot bring just numbers in. They need to come in and they need to be first team players. They need to start straight away. They need to be enhance this squad in every position. For me, centre half, 100% a centre half. Left back, for me, I would bring in a right back, get shot at Aarons. If you can get shot at him, by all means, get shot at him. But I'm not getting my knickers in a twist if you can't get shot at him. Centre midfield, I feel that we lack creativity. We've got plenty of ingenuity, plenty of people that want to run about, but we've got nobody that can conduct play. We've got nobody that can put a foot in the ball, make a pass. We've got nobody. For me, a ball playing 6 is exactly what we need, and that frees up your Barons and your Raskins to go and run about and break up play and start things and use their energy. I feel as if Barron and Raskin and Diamandi to a certain extent, but it's almost as if they're trying to do everything, and they're falling short on everything. I think that they need to stick to what they're good at, and I think that we lack that kind of creativity. Somebody that can pick a pass, somebody that can even ping a ball 30 yards and over the top or whatever. So for me, ball playing centre mid, a 6 that can play that kind of quarterback role. Striker, 100%. We are desperate for a striker. We're desperate for in an ideal world, a 10 that can score goals and a striker as well. But as I said, if you get 2 or 3 of them in, they need to be quality. They need to be first team players. They need to be straight into this squad.
Right, Alan, you know this question coming to you, and Mark made some very, very good points there, and we're not going to have time to touch on too many of them. And he's right. We shouldn't have to get rid of players before we bring players in. But as people are saying in the comments, you do have to try and balance the book somehow. And some of our players are on ridiculous money, so it would be nice to get rid of them. But I don't know how we're going to do that. But that's probably another pod for an entire separate pod on its own. Now, Alan, you know this question's coming to you, which is why I put up in plenty of time from Ian Thompson, because Demi's just messaged me and said you have to ask that to Alan because she knows you as well. So, Alan, is it time up for Diamandi?
Before I answer that question, I'll just point out Ian Thompson's lost a day because he's convinced the game is tomorrow and not on Saturday. So, just before Ian Thompson gets a battle fever on too early, it's Saturday in the game.
I'll be honest with you, Alan, I wish the game was tomorrow. In fact, I wish the game was right now, to be perfectly honest with you. But,
listen, so they are, because I think we're getting in with the momentum. You know, they're in bother, and if we turn up and we go and get on the front foot and take our chances, you know, I think the game's there for us on Saturday. But Diamandi, you know, where we're playing him as a 6, an 8 or a 10, he doesn't have a discipline to play in any one of them, which is really frustrating because he's clearly got the ability to do it. But he's been a massive disappointment. We spent £4.5 million on this boy, and he's never, ever shown us that he's going to give us a return on it. I don't see why we can go to a game and trust him to actually do a job and no end up getting sucked into something stupid and getting himself sent off. And he's not contributing the amount of goals and assists that he should. You know, the reason our guys sitting deep at midfield are not passing forward is because guys in front of him are not moving about. They're not making space for himself. And when they are making space, that can't be found. It's all very well putting your hands up in the air because you've made space, but see if that pass isn't possible to be made, you're just acting it. You're just playing it, being a Rangers player. But in terms of want numbers out, it's not just about the wage bill, but it's a management point of view as well. You don't want too many people in that squad. You know, you don't want too many people in training and in the dressing room. You know, kind of upset the balance a wee bit. So I'd expect Danny Rule will want to move guys out as well as bringing people in just to maintain a wee bit of balance in there. But if somebody offers us money for Diamandi, I'm available. I'll drive him wherever he's going.
Brian, Alan mentions Danny Rule, and to go back to one of Mark's comments about we need to bring in a number 6. Danny Rule came out and said that he sees Raskin as a number 6. Is he right? Should that be where we put him? And if it is, do we persevere with him there, despite the fact it might not work straight away? So, there'll obviously be criticism. If you think that that's the place to put him, surely we'll have to give him a run in the team in that position. Another yellow card coming Brian's way. Take your mute.
That's a second yellow card after run out of charge.
Well, yeah. Probably should get the red after that.
Just call it a day.
I did say yesterday that it might not go smoothly, so yeah. I can't remember who it was said that we should play players on their favourite positions, and funnily enough, they'll play well. So if Raskin feels happy there, then why not play him there? That if that's his favourite position, then play him there. It's ludicrous to play players that out of position. It really is. I'm kind of hoping that Danny Rule is going to be this guy that's not going to shoehorn players into positions just for the sake of it. We've had enough of that over the last few years. We need a manager who's actually going to play the players in their specific positions. You're not going to play Chermiti right back just to shoehorn him in the team. You're not going to play him right mid just to shoehorn him in. You've got to play players in their preferred positions. That's where you're going to get the best out of them.
Ryan, can I throw something at you? In three games, he's played Fernandes at centre forward for a posting of the game.
Well, has he?
Fernandes on his 3 of our games at centre forward when we were chasing a result.
I think that's just purely down to his height. Simple as that. That is just purely down to his height and set pieces and stuff. And you're chasing a game and you're pushing. So no. But
can I jump
at the end of the day? There you go, Mark.
Just for me, Raskin's not got the range of passing to play as a 6. It depends, obviously, what kind of 6 you want to play. But for me, looking at our team, Raskin is an 8 every day of the week, all day of the week. He's got too much energy to play as a 6. He wants to push forward too much as a 6. So for me, my ideal 6 would be a ball playing 6 like a Steve Davis. That's my opinion of what our midfield needs. For me, Raskin can't play that way. He can't play in that. He could be a destroyer as a 6, but he needs to go side to side and cover. Whereas that's not how Raskin wants to play. Raskin wants to go and press. So for me, if he's going to go and press, he needs to go and press as an 8. He can't go and press as a 6, because if he goes and presses as a 6, he's leaving a lot of space in the middle of the park. So all your centre forward needs to do is drop deep, and he's dropping into Raskin's space. So for me, I know he said he's a 6. If he's going to play as a 6, and he needs to hold, and he needs to go side to side and break up play. That's if it's a destroying 6. But that's not what he wants to do. He wants to go forward and press and stuff like that. He's constantly champing at a bit to go and start pressing. So for me, that's the reason why he's playing as an 8 or playing in there as a 2. So is your 2 holding midfielders, because one goes and one stays. But as a 6, I don't think Raskin can play there.
I'm just putting that comment up there. Sean has mentioned Kenny McLean a couple of times, and you're talking about a ball playing 6. But I'll bring up that just because Kenny McLean's got a World Cup to look forward to. The World Cup's something that we should be using as a hook for players coming in. I said last night when I was on with Alex, the World Cup coming up, we can give people a platform to impress to get into our international teams and go to America next summer. And we can give people that opportunity, and we've got to use that hook and use that to our advantage when we're trying to bring players in this month.
No, you're right, and it's that's something that we've got to look at. There should also be, I don't know if we've got any players not playing regularly for us who have got aspirations of possibly going with some of their World Cups, because that may be a way to get some of them out. I'm not quite sure. For example, Giga, do we say to Giga, look, we need to get, we'll put you back to Wolves, they loan you out to somebody else so that you can get regular games? I don't know if his lot will go to the World Cup, but you know what I mean. That's that sort of thing. So I mean, and obviously John Suter, we're probably going to keep him about. But if we bring in a start centre half, do we look at moving Suter out because he'll be wanting to play in the World Cup? It's an interesting question, but we are just touching over now, and Mark's got bingo to get ready for in the galley in an hour's time. And I'd like to thank Mark as well for missing his paper plane competition to come and speak to us today. That's quality. That's quality. So before we go, guys, obviously, Ian Thompson thinks the game's tomorrow. It's actually Saturday in the East End at the home of our nearest and dearest, as they like to think they are. Alan, how's Saturday going to go?
It's all about our mentality, but there's a big win there for us, and it's about time we went out and gave him a hosing. So 3-0 to the famous.
Right. Brian, there's JD saying he's not worried about getting a doing, but he's not confident we'll give them a doing. I feel exactly the same. I don't think this Rangers team's capable of giving anybody an absolute coating, but I don't think we'll get a coating. So how do you think it's going to go?
We could play rubbish and win 1-0, and that won't bother me. At the end of the day, it's about getting a win by all means necessary. This lot are there for the taking. Absolutely there. They're like a wounded animal just now. And we need to go out there and absolutely hunt them down and take them out big time. This lot are heartened. They're in as bad a position I can remember for many a year. With no strikers, their fans are in disarray. They hate their board. This lot are there for the taking. And if these Rangers players can't rise to the occasion and beat this lot on Saturday, then we never will. As I say, this lot are an absolute they're like rats coming out of a sinking ship. They're all over the place. And we need to take advantage of this. We need to absolutely take advantage of this bad situation and take them for all we can. I know we're not any great shakes, but I'll tell you what, we're in far better nick than they are. Danny Rose certainly made a difference since he's came in. He's settled the ship, and he's certainly proved that he knows what he's doing, which is more than could be said for across the city. But no, we need to go to the East End, and we need to believe that we can win. This lot are absolutely like wounded animals, and we need to take advantage.
Neil, there's nothing worse than come up against a wounded animal, because I wouldn't really fancy, coming face to face with a wounded animal, because they do try that a little bit harder. I don't think it'll be as easy as some people seem to think it might be. It's never easy going across there. To me, the important thing is we get the first goal, because their ground will turn. Their entire support will turn on them if we go ahead. How do you think it's going to go?
Yeah, first goal's vital for us to get that. I believe we will. Officiating aside, I think we've got a fantastic chance of going there and getting 3 points. And we all know how officials and officiating decisions have cost us in these big games in the past. It'll be interesting to see, if this one happens to be decided in a similar way. But for me, it's an opportunity. Brian hit the nail on the head there. It's an opportunity for us to go make a statement and actually put our names down as being real title contenders this season. We've not went away from home and beaten Hearts. We've not this is the first chance to go away from home and beat them. But Roll needs this big win. He needs a big game win under his belt to kind of get that one off the shoulder. And that this could be the day. We've got every opportunity in it. If we get a Rangers team that turn up that we've seen in weeks past that aren't at it, aren't given 110%, I'll be absolutely gutted, because this is one of the best opportunities we've had in years to go there and actually get a result. And I just really hope and pray that we do it.
Mark, we've only lost one away game in this calendar year, which was the last time out against Hearts. Like another stat I couldn't believe when it came to fruition. So hopefully it's not 2 away defeats in a row. How do you see it going?
Last, I see a 2-0 to Rangers. I think that best case scenario, we score an early goal and that plays on that crowd's anxiety. because we take an early lead, that crowd will turn on them massively. We've seen it happen at Ibrox. So as I said, that's best case scenario. We get an early goal. We need to push for the word goal. We need to go at them and go after them. If we do that and we get an early goal, I think this mob will fold. I really do. I think that the crowd, especially that big crowd, will get on their backs, and we can use that to our advantage. So I think for me, early goal, go after them straight away. I would go 3 at the back, play 2 up top, and just go for them. Absolutely go for them. For me as well, I would put pace up there. For me, front 2 would be Big Chermiti and Gassama, and let Gassama run, because sometimes they're playing with one centre half at a time. There's space to run into. So everybody that's got any sort of a pace would be playing for me on Saturday, and looking to just knock a ball over the top and let them run on it. And that's how you beat this mob, because they're too busy trying to go forward. And undoubtedly they're going to give the ball away, but for me, you need to go at them for the word goal. Early goal. Try and get an early goal. If you get an early goal, this mob will turn. The crowd will turn on them. So, but for me, 2-0 Rangers.
Right, folks, just before we go, if you're not already, if you're subscribed to the Rabble, thank you very much for your continued support. If you're not, links are in the description. Do yourself a New Year favour. For a couple of quid a month, you can hear a lot more from us every single day. There's loads and loads of shows. The match day coverage is unrivaled, and it'll be the same on Saturday. The boys will be there from before the game till well after the game. There'll be, I believe, there's going to be some live footage coming on from the East End as well, because myself, Brian, Trev, and Demi are there. And Trev's insistent that we're doing something, so we will be doing something. Before I go today, Happy New Year, and thank you very much to Alan, to Neil, to Mark from offshore. Enjoy your bingo at 2:30. To Brian for eventually being here and playing internet hokey cokey, coming and going and coming. To everybody in the comments, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your New Year break if you happen to be having a New Year break. And to our football club, for just under 48 hours' time when we're across in the East End, leave everything out there. I'm sick, fed up of being outworked by teams. Let's just get out there, leave everything on the park. If we're not good enough on the day, we're not good enough on the day. But if we show up, we will be good enough on the day. Because as the boys have said, the team we're playing aren't any great shakes. We won't make a lot of chances because we don't make a lot of chances. Just take the chances that we do make, and Rangers, do us a favour, please. Just win. Put us at least level with them, possibly second top of the league, and then we can start chasing down Hearts instead of having to chase down 2 teams. But Rangers, please, on Saturday, for the sake of everybody watching this, that's Rangers minded, in case there's 1 or 2 that aren't, and everybody here, just beat that lot. Speak to you soon, guys. Cheers.